Picking stocks is always a favorite occupation at the beginning of a new year. And here at the Asian Financial Forum 2014 is Charles Lee from Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing. Thanks very much for joining us. Now, looking at really stocks over 2013, that wasn't a particularly good year apparently. But what about 2014? What's the prospect?
Well, I don't know about 2013 being a bad year or a good year, and depending on who you ask. It's hard to predict and project as to where the stock is going to be, where the index is going to end up. That's not my job, and that's not something that particularly interests me. I am running an exchange, essentially, so what I care is to build the right market structure, maintain an orderly and efficient and open market, maintain high standards, and also always look to the future as to what are the possible trends in the future, and are we ready as a market in terms of technology, in terms of market structure, in terms of regulatory environment, in terms of collaborative relationship that we're building. And so that's something that 2014 is likely going to be a very big year, because it is a year where we probably will see the most tangible transformation, or the beginning of that transformation of Hong Kong from a pure traditional equity, cash equity based market or exchange, hopefully into a much broader asset class represented and development, like particularly in commodity, in equity derivatives, commodities, and stock futures.
Charles, having said that, what would you say then to people who would look at the stock market here in Hong Kong, see the fact that you are provided certain waivers of fees to small stockbrokers, and then think, this is the small market, if you like, but what about the bigger picture? How would you really look at that, and how would you sort of suggest that you could rationalize that?
No, we don't really provide special price breaks for small brokers. What we do is in the risk management arena, and also in certain market data distribution side of it. What we do is to waive everybody, not only the small brokers, everybody's initial contribution or initial price. That obviously, if you are a very small broker, and if your cost is only at this, you probably don't pay very much, because we already waived, everybody's initial contribution from an impact perspective, have a much more favorable impact to the smaller guys who are very small. And then the risk they create to the market is also very small. So we are perfectly okay giving them that sort of an initial break.
So would you say that in the fullness of time, that small brokers will ultimately disappear from the map? I mean, as a matter really of the nature of things, and that the larger brokers, the dark pools, the people who are involved in many of the kind of investments of today, these will take their place?
Well, if people are not competitive, it's not necessarily is the size, is whether or not you have the right positioning in the marketplace, whether you have the right niche. You could be very small, but you have a very good niche, and you may potentially still succeed.
So turning to to the London Metals Exchange, which is owned by your organization, then where do you see that going? And do you see actually a clearinghouse being instituted in the very near future?
Yes, we are building LME Clear, and that is going to be, we are all on track for that clearinghouse to be up and running by September 24th this year. So we're just 6, 7, 8 months away from the actual LME Clear up and running, so that we're becoming much more enabled. We put our fate in our own hands. Right now we are clearing through a third-party clearinghouse. Now that next year we will really be able to clear for ourselves. So that not only allow us to be able to make significant revenue from a very important segment of the business, but more importantly, allow us to strategically position our business in a way that we are able to enable product development, expansion, Asian time zone clearing, renminbi clearing, all the things that unless you control your own clearing capabilities, that you really at the mercy of somebody else. So I think clearing is going to be up and running.
So where it comes to Hong Kong, then Hong Kong gets, you're thinking, an added advantage in the commodities area where it comes to this. And do you see that progressing into the future? How far do you think we can go?
Yeah, I mean, LME is already a global leader, in base metals. And China is a very huge player in base metals. So I think our ownership, our ability to bring LME closer to China and China closer to LME and solve some of the structural issues involving the LME ecosystem will allow us to potentially make LME a much more impact contribution to Hong Kong Exchange.